Got
Okay,
it.
recording is in progress, so we're ready to go. We're going to introduce Jen here, who's the dark room guru, and share her experience. And she's in Guatemala, correctly, right, currently at the moment. And so, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody about it, what it is, what made you decide to be able to do this, and just kind of go from there.
Yeah. Okay. So, and is it me, Doug, like on the screen, or am I just a little box?
For me, I could set you up, and I don't know, like I said, if
for you, you can see me.
I could see you. I could put you on my screen, like to take up the full screen type of thing.
It's okay. Maybe I can change it on my settings so I can like look at you guys instead of just like a black screen. Here we go. Got it. Now I can see you guys. Okay, so what is a dark retreat? A dark retreat is basically when you go into complete darkness. And let's see. So for the first 3 days, you get hit with like melatonin. Melatonin is produced by your pineal gland that just starts secreting the minute your actual eye starts seeing less and less light, and then it knows it's going to be nighttime, and it starts producing melatonin, which helps you kind of go into like nighttime and then hopefully help you sleep at night. Then in the morning, when the light starts coming in through your eye, it starts secreting serotonin. Sarah wakes you up in the morning, Mel puts you to sleep at night. So it happens the first 3 days, typically when you're in the dark. Your pineal gland just secretes a lot of melatonin. So typically, like if you wanted to do a 3-day dark retreat, you could just go in there and sleep as much as you possibly can and just completely rest. So even if you wanted to go in for 1 day, you just sleep and sleep and sleep. And it's so good for the body to just completely be away from all exterior. You can't see anything. Can't even see your own body. Really cool.
Can't even see the spiders crawling all over you.
Thank God for that. You can feel them though. You can feel them like when you lose something and you're feeling around, you can feel little spider webs and everything and that. But so you can kind of cater the dark retreat to however you want it to be. Let's say you want to do 5 days. After the 3 days, you want to do a couple more days, then it starts secreting penazole. It's something like penazole. I could be a little bit off on that, but and that will start connecting you to like your ancestors and like the spirit realm. And then about like day 8 to 11, then it starts secreting DMT, and it's different for everybody, right? You could start secreting DMT by day 5, but typically the DMT doesn't really start kicking in until like day 8. And then you're interacting with DMT, and it's a really beautiful experience. So they feed you through a double blind box. Like they open their door, they put the food in, they close the door, they knock 2 times. So it's all safe. You can open your door now and you're not going to have any light enter. They feed you 2 times a day, at least here in Guatemala. They feed you twice at 9 a.m. and about, 4-ish, between 4 and 5 p.m. Now, I typically am not hungry in the dark, like at all. It was really hard for me to eat. I like lost a good amount of weight the first few days, like just didn't eat anything. I wasn't really drinking that much either. They say it's not a good idea to fast while you're in there because it's just like too much for the body to handle. But it's really hard to eat. So you're kind of fasting. I may have had like a couple bites of breakfast and then maybe a half or a quarter of dinner. And so
Hey,
I
Jen,
guess I can.
a quick question for you. Are you able to see the chat also?
No.
Okay.
Yes,
you might want to set up chat so that if anyone has any questions, they could type it in the chat for her as well, so that way make it easier for you to be able to answer as well.
Did I have a meeting with a guide? No meeting with a guide. Okay, so I guess what the really, really cool thing about going into the dark is like the way I think of it is like if you go to a retreat, and the whole point of going to a retreat is to try to be as present as possible. And you go throughout your day and you're like, oh crap, I'm not being present. Like my mind is like going here and in the past, I'm thinking about the past or I'm thinking about the future. And then you like catch yourself throughout the day, I'm not being present. I'm not being present. The really cool thing about being in the dark is you are present by default. By default, you are just present with every single thing that you do. And it's completely like, it's survival. It's like climbing a rock face, or like doing, bike riding, like intense bike riding where you have to be super present. Otherwise it's like you could die. And I'm not going to die in the dark, right? But I could seriously hurt myself. Yeah, I could hurt myself, which I did. And I didn't seriously hurt myself, but I got banged up pretty good. And so you just really slow down in there. And it's like the blackness, the darkness is like a blanket. And it just is like the most like comforting feeling. I didn't have any fear being in the dark, not even like an ounce of fear. I thought coming into it, like I'm going to see some scary things and all this stuff is going to happen and I'm going to have to face my fears. I had none of that. It was complete bliss from the moment I went in there, almost to the time that I left. The only challenges that I had was external challenges. Like I went in with music, voice memos from my kids, and meditations. And I had a book from Ram Dass, a book from Eckhart Tolle. So those were like my gurus that I brought in there with me. Once my electronics cut out for 4 days, that got really challenging for me. And like, that was part of the process of like, okay, let's cut you off of everything, right? And they're not going to give you your charger back, even though you gave it to them 2 days ago, 3 days ago, 4 days ago. You're just not going to get it back. They forgot about you. So you're on your own. And that was like a really good, healthy challenge for me because I didn't have my comforts that I'm used to. But if I didn't struggle with that, I literally could have been in the dark forever because I had everything that I could ever need in there. I had my loved ones in there with me. I could listen to the voice memo and they're cheering me on and supporting me and loving me. And it was like, look, we've got everything taken care of for you at home. Like, don't even worry, just go deep. And I was like pumped up and like ready to do this. The minute that got taken away, it got harder and harder and harder and harder for me. My music in there, this is the coolest thing about being in the dark, okay, is music. I can't even begin to explain to you the level, like the deepening, the expansion of how music sounds in the dark. And it's not even just how it sounds, it's literally you are interacting with that music in your room. So I never had complete pitch black, perfect blackness ever. The entire time I'm surrounded by these little teeny tiny particles of light, right? It's either a particle or it's a wave. And that is what I saw the entire time I was in there, are these little tiny particles of light surrounding me, millions of them. And you interact with them because they are your energy and they're ready there for you on demand. They're like waiting for you to command to them to do whatever you want them to do. And then you start interacting with them. So they're all just there. And the minute I put the music on, they start dancing with me. So one point, like 2 nights before my finishing, before I exited the dark retreat, I was surrounded, my entire room was surrounded in this red, glowing, vibrant light. The whole room was bright red. And I just started dancing like you've never danced like you dance when you're in the dark. You're completely free. And like the feeling that you have of just being you, to interact with the music. Okay, so I'm like just really vibing the music. and I'm dancing like this, and I can see through the red a shadow of me dancing back. And it was like, that was really, 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 really cool. So I had, like, your brain will create something to give you comfort, and it'll do it in a way that's like completely unexpected and just so beautiful. That was one of my like highlights moments where I'm like totally in love with myself and just completely like letting my spirit just go. And then I see that coming back to me, and it's like just the coolest experience. I had some challenges with the bathroom. Oh, so Guatemala, not all of Guatemala, just this little retreat house in particular has toilets that they have to like, you have to sit on one toilet to go number one toilet to go number two. And the room starts smelling like they didn't clean it. They were supposed to clean it by day 10. They didn't. For whatever reason, the bathroom was just like a scary place for me because of the smell and like just all the, I don't know. So the DMT created that the door to the bathroom was this like really intricate looking fireplace. So it was like, it took my fear or anxiety of the bathroom and like literally created, manifested for me a fireplace. Every time I had to go into the bathroom, I'm like stepping across fire. And exiting the bathroom, I have to like walk into this fireplace, like so crazy. But like, again, like if you can, these little light particles are just waiting for you to give a command to them, and then they will manifest everything that you want. And they'll do it in a way that it's unexpected. And that's like really like special and creative. And so somehow my mind created a fireplace. So it like made it even that much more challenging to go to the bathroom and to exit the bathroom. So I had to like walk through this, like this fireplace. But I was like really impressed with my like brain or spirit, whoever created it, because it's pretty creative. So I thought that was kind of cool. But the part about being like completely present in the dark is like every single thing that you do, you have to be extremely cognizant of. If you drop your spoon, if you, like I have my Invisalign braces that I wear at night. If I like put them on a table or something, and then in the middle of the night, I like kick, and then it's like on the floor and I'm like feeling around on the floor, and then there's like spider webs, and like you can't drop anything on the floor. The floor is not clean at all. Like they just go in there and sweep before you come, but like they don't clean with like any cleaning products. It's like very like rustic. So every single thing that you do in there is like, okay, this is where I'm putting this. This is what I'm doing here. And then I was like getting like kind of bored. I'm like, okay, let's do some exercises. So I would like march in place and I would count. And this is how I would count: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. 1, 2, 3. And I went all the way to 1,000. And like just counting is like super meditative, because you're every single number you're like totally present with. And so there's these exercises that you do in the dark that's like you're so present. And like that's what we do to meditate. That's the only reason we meditate, is so that we're completely present. And like I was mentioning to a friend earlier, is that getting into the shower, like I decided to brush my hair 100 times. So I would sit there and I would go 1, 2, 3, like just for whatever reason, like, because that became like a meditative practice for me, is just really slowing down and like just doing something that you just normally do really fast, just really slowing down with it. And that's the coolest thing about being in the dark, is like being so present with yourself and having nothing to do. So it's like this relationship that you build with yourself. Like I feel like if my higher self was like 6 feet above my body before I went into the dark, when I was in the dark, I was able to pull it like 5 feet, 4 feet, 3 feet, 2 feet, 1 foot, and then right into my heart. You get so much closer and closer to your higher self that you're like, become one. And then when you leave the dark retreat, you have this like really tight knit relationship with your higher self. You can communicate with your higher self. And it's like you've formed this relationship for like 1 week, 2 weeks, whatever it is, that like you're like tight now. And honestly, I don't think any other retreat I could have or develop that kind of a relationship with my higher self in that short period of time. Because it's just you, nobody else. That's it. So Jen, what do we want to do? Do we want to work out? Do we want to give yourself a massage? Like, do you want to dance? Like, do you want to do a meditation? Like, it's like, I don't know how to really explain it, but it's just you and that's it. So I feel like the more and more you're in there, the longer you're in there, your heart is just like so open and there's no barriers anymore. You like take all the barriers away and it's like just raw, like raw Jen. You can't even see your body, you know, and so you strip all the exterior world and you're able to go inside just like that. So, whoa, that was weird. So anyways, yeah, I feel like that was a good like introduction. And if anybody has questions, like go for it.
Well, first off, look, so what made you decide to do this? And then we'll go to Bruno after.
Honestly, like I didn't even know there were dark retreats. I heard about a restaurant in San Francisco where you go in and you have a date with somebody, or you go to this restaurant, it's completely black. And the waiters have to wear like night vision goggles. And the minute I heard about that, I was like, dude, I wonder if they have dark retreats. That would be freaking epic. And I just Googled it right away. And that was that. I was sold. It was like this inner, like, I have to go into the dark. Yeah, that was it. Okay, Bruno.
Yes, I was wondering if you could talk a bit about your astral projections. I'm wondering if it was easier to do it while in the dark and while you were already in that heightened state. And if you could share about where did you go, or what did you do, or what did you learn?
Yeah. Okay. So on day one, for whatever reason, it was extremely easy for me to astral project. I like visited each member of my family. Yeah. And my friends and my loved ones. Like I was there. I could feel them. I could see them where they were. It was so easy. I did healings for my 9-year-old daughter and for my brother's wife. And that was extremely powerful, extremely powerful. Like, I don't know if I've ever done a healing like that intense before. Like something took over me and was like, this is what you need to say. This is what you need to do. And it was like, whoa, so powerful. And since then I got out of the dark. Elena, my brother's wife, like she's messaged me, my brother, and we've talked. They're like so grateful that I did this. My brother and Elena are both like, in the last 2 weeks, I'm like a completely different person. And she like is hopeful for the future. Like my brother and his wife might not get a divorce anymore. They're going to therapy now. Like it's been like night and day. And it started when I did the healing. So that was like, oh my gosh. It was really easy for me to astral project in the beginning. I tried the next day to connect with them and I couldn't. It was like really hard. The next day I tried, I couldn't. And that was it. I could not connect with them. I couldn't astral project in that way anymore. It was like my higher self was like, no, this is about you. Like, go in now. I couldn't even feel their presence. Like I could feel their presence in my room a little bit, but I couldn't travel to them. That was really hard for me. But I was like, okay, well, that's not meant to be, then that's fine. But it was, I think maybe the 10th day or 11th day, something like that. because the whole room, like I'm interacting with, it's changing. I've got like rainbows swirling around me and like crazy stuff. So basically I started seeing these huge pillars and a statue on top and all these little stairs going like that. And I intuitively was like, okay, what am I seeing? Oh, okay. I know in the beginning I said I wanted to see the ruins under Lake Atitlan. And are you the ruins under Lake Atitlan? Yeah. And I'm like, sweet, cool. So I just appeared in my room. I wasn't trying to see like what the ruins looked like. I just appeared into my room. That's the only other cool thing that I saw, that like astrally projecting. I'm not even astrally projecting there. I just showed up. But yeah.
So
And
thank
then
you. Yep, Kathy.
Well, or maybe I missed it, but how many total days were you in there, Jen?
sorry,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, how many, I didn't hear any, how many total days were you in?
So I was in for 11 days and I came out at 5 in the morning. That was the night that it was the 4th day of me not having any electronics. They didn't clean my toilet. I was feeling like a little neglected. I came out at 5 in the morning and I brought my eye mask and I thought I'll just take a peek. And oh my gosh, I can't even explain to you what I saw. It was like way too much for me to handle. Everything that I saw, plants, the ground, the trees, the bushes, everything looked like computer animated. But it looked like it was like alive. Like it wasn't just a computer that was like dead. It like had like this life force in it, but it all looked completely fake. And I looked for like I went like that and I was like, whoa, like I can't. And then I was like, I got to go back into my room. And then I'm like, okay, one more look. Boom. Is it still like that? Yes, it's still like that. Get me back in that room. I could not handle it. Now I wrote a note to the owner of the retreat that night when I was like really frustrated and I had just had it. And I said, I want to come out. I'm done being in the dark. Like you never brought my electronics back. And I need to get out of here. But then when I went out at 5 in the morning and I came back, I forgot that the letter was in there. So I was just going to go back into the dark and just say, can you please bring my electronics? Well, when they knocked on the door and I knew that it was gone, I was like, crap. So at that point, 7 was like, all right, I want you to come out in the morning, tomorrow morning at 6 in the morning or 5:45, whatever, and go walk down to the lakes, watch the sunrise, like blah, 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 but go back into the dark. And so that next morning he knocked, he got me, I went down to the lake, I saw the sunrise, and I immediately after the sunrise went right back to my dark room. And I told him like, I can't, I'm not ready. I was extremely nauseous. And it was like really painful for my body. It was like way too much of a shock. I like wanted to retreat back into the dark, like it, like going back into the womb, like I'm not ready. And I went back into the dark until I came out the 15th day. Yeah. So.
Oh, that's way longer than I thought. Yeah, that's a long time. But that's really interesting. I think the most interesting thing you said for me is that when you lifted and looked for the first time, you're almost looking at what is real, a virtual reality. You know, you're almost seeing it like it really is because your brain was just geared up and you're seeing it like it probably more truly is possibly. And it's freaky because it's not like, you know, what you think reality should be, but really maybe what reality is. That's just so cool. Well, I also
Yeah.
wanted to know is, you said, oh no, go ahead.
So I think that I was on DMT. So I've talked to people that have done DMT and they're like, yeah, you were on DMT. because that's how they see everything in nature when they're on DMT. So I don't know that that's what I was seeing, like that's what everything really is. I mean, I think everything has life force, but I don't know if it's like computer animated like that. Like that, maybe it is, I don't know, but like that was really, it was a lot for me to handle. It really freaked me out. But it was also really beautiful at the same time. I just couldn't handle it.
Hey, Kathy, Kathy,
I'm
hey, Kathy, we're having a hard time with your audio. Your audio is kind of like, there's like an echo. I don't know if there's, if you're away from your microphone or what, but
Nope. No, nothing's done. Nothing's changed. I don't know what's wrong. Okay, I'm checking out.
sorry. No, Bruno.
Yes, so I was wondering if you were to do it again, maybe in a few months or next year, what would you do different about preparation or about a different place?
Yeah, different place for sure. No offense to Hermitage, but having a cold shower, being in a cold room, having a toilet that smells like, I'm sorry, but in order to go deep, 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 if you just had like normal environment that you're used to, you don't have to deal with this terrible smell coming from your bathroom. No way would I do that again here. No way. It's just way too much for you to handle. Like, it's hard enough already, you're in the dark. What else would I do differently? I think, honestly, like, I think the person who would be taking care of me, bringing food and stuff like that, I think it'd be great if it was somebody that you know, or like somebody that you love, or not just some stranger that doesn't speak English. Like, there's no way I could communicate. It was so frustrating. I just was like, do you have my charger? Do you have my charger? Like no response, nothing. They don't speak English. So yeah, it just added another level of challenge for me. So, and then I think I would love to do like a 5-day or just like a 10-day. So I kind of like shot myself in the foot by thinking I could do like 30 or 40 days. And then if I just knew I was going in for 10 days, I could just like sit back and like chill. But I had this like thing like, all right, I can do this. Like I can go more and more and more. And it's not necessary. You know, it's not necessary. I'm glad I stayed in as long as I did. But if I knew going in, I'm only going to do 10 days, like, I feel like I would have like, I don't know, just like the stress would have been off of me. And hell, honestly, I feel like I would do a 3-day dark retreat every year just to like catch up on sleep and like meditate. Like, I feel like everybody should do that, even if it's for a day. One day, like it's like just cleaning your temple. So but I definitely will continue to do dark retreats like the rest of my life, because it's the only time I've ever felt like that close to myself. Like it's a part of my practice now. So yeah, like tweak it, make it your own, bring in your like the most incredible music that you guys, that's like your favorite music. Just have fun with it. Don't have any restrictions. Don't go in thinking I'm going to fast. I'm not going to listen to any meditation or like I listen to any music. I'm going to meditate the whole time I'm in there. Like, no rules when you go in there. Just be completely open and free to just, you want to sleep? You want to swing on your little rocking chair? You want to do push-ups? Like whatever you want to do, just do. And like, when do we ever have that time to ourselves to just do whatever we feel like? And also interacting with like all these light particles that are just like ready to like put on a show for you. Like, it was beautiful to have that interaction with like all your surroundings, the like love that is surrounding you. Like it's an exact match of like what's internally is expressed externally. So like, if you're just in love with life, like you're going to get like massive rainbows swirling all around you. And like, it's just incredible. Yeah.
I could imagine, because I know people, I've seen videos and stuff where people created their own dark room by blacking out the windows and everything like that, you know. But I could imagine it's like a total sense of, because you forget the body. itself.
Yeah.
You know, and I could imagine down there it'd be a lot bad or a lot worse because you develop an increase in your other senses, like your hearing and your smell, which you obviously got.
Oh my gosh, the fireworks right behind my room, the dogs barking all hours of the night. Like it was a challenge, but I'm telling you, like if you can do a dark retreat in your own house, in the comfort of your own home, like in your closet, like your bedroom, just black out your bedroom and your bathroom and have a friend bring food to you, breakfast and dinner, and that's it. Like do it in the comfort of your own home, you know?
Or wear
Just
a mask.
do it.
Wear one of those blinder masks.
Oh, I wore my blinder mask like almost the whole time I was in there. I was just like so paranoid I was going to see, or I try to light a candle or like light some incense and like burn my hand. Like, but I just wore it like all the time. I honestly, like at times I wanted to escape the light. I wanted to escape it, but I couldn't. I would like, okay, go away. Like, I want to go to sleep. Like, just give me 5 minutes to go to sleep. No, the lights are just like, honestly, it was like there were lights in the room. And I'm like, can you just turn the light off so I can go to sleep? You know? And no, they don't, they're not that, they don't do exactly what you want when you want it. But yeah, it was hard to go to sleep with all the bright lights that were going on. Yeah. But do it at home. Do it wherever. Yeah. Do it for a
Awesome.
day. Yeah.
All right, let's go with Ahmed.
Ahmed.
Hey, John, how are you doing?
Hi, good.
I'm curious to hear about these light particles. Is this like something you've come across before in life, or is this something new? Like, did it come in day one, or did, you know, how long did it take you realize you could interact with it? What was it like?
Oh yeah, day one. I've seen the light particles at times throughout my meditations and stuff like that. Just imagine these little tiny white dots, like millions of them in your room, and they go from particle to wave. So like, for whatever reason, they really like to be in a line when they were in a wave. They're just little lines, like then another row of them, another row of them, another row, just rows and rows and rows of them. And they'd be a little line like that times. They'd be a little dot at times. At one point, the entire room was completely white and the little light particles were black, and they were in a perfect grid. And then I saw the opposite, all black and perfect grid. But the majority of the time, 99% of the time, they're just all over the place. And now those little tiny light particles would swish in and around all your whole body. They would start off with a triangle. The triangle would turn into like a flower, then it would turn into a star, and then it would get more and more intricate like that. And there'd be like this crazy mandala, like huge mandala in my room that I'm looking at. It loved to do that. It did that constantly. It would just go small, big, 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 grow, and then just change. And I'm like on my recorder. I'm like, okay, I'm looking at a triangle. Now it's a flower. Now it's a star. Now it's and I'm like, okay, slow down because you're changing way too fast. Like, it was just like going crazy. I tried to describe it as best I could. But it was just so cool. So like these little light particles would literally create all these different patterns and just perform for you. It was amazing. And then when they turned into colors, like rainbow colors, then they would just work together and move around. And then others would go this way and others would come this way and others would go that way. And they're just literally constantly, like they never stopped. They just were always creating for you.
You think as the days went by with like your DMT production increasing, this happened a lot more, or no? It was just pretty much the same.
At the time, I didn't even think in my recorders, all my recordings, I'm like, all right, day 7, no DMT. Day 8, no DMT. Okay, fine. It's all good. Like, I'm just not going to have any DMT. It's fine. At that point, I was already seeing the fireplace. So I don't know why I thought it was like a failure. And I'm like, you're not a failure. Like, if you don't have DMT, you don't have DMT. Who cares? It's your experience. Like, it doesn't need to be somebody else's experience. But I was already seeing the fireplace at that time. I still told myself that I'm not seeing DMT and I'm like a failure. So it wasn't until I got out of the dark, even I've been out of the dark for a few days, and I was like, oh yeah, like I saw a fireplace. I didn't even think that was DMT. I saw like some ancient ruins under Lake Atitlan, like all the rainbows and everything. I didn't even think that was DMT. I don't know why. I thought it was a failure. That was part of my issue going in.
Is it these lights that turn into the fireplace, or are these two separate things, you think?
So the light particles will literally just create all this stuff. So they'll turn into like rainbows, and they'll turn into a fireplace, and they'll just manifest everything. Yeah. So that's all light particle.
It's like one last question about it.
It's like a light particle going from the light particle to the wave. The wave is when they're actually creating an image for you, or they're swirling around. And then the light particles when they're just dots everywhere. Like they're waiting for something cool to happen. And then you start dancing, and then they're like, okay, cool, we'll dance with you. And they start like, at one point I was like head banging, like so into my music, like crazy into it. And the light particles that were like little tiny dots, they turn in these long lines like this, and they go boom, 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 like that. Just the whole room was like, whoa, it was cool. Yeah.
Can you touch them? Like, can it go through you? Is one thing I was curious to know as well.
Oh, like they're up to you like this. So I didn't touch, I was playing with them like that, but I wasn't like touching them, feeling them. But honestly, it's like surrounding all of us right now. Like that is like reality. You have light particles surrounding you everywhere you go, no matter where you are. They're always there, ready at your command to do whatever you want. And they're very smart and creative. So if you put a thought out there, they're going to create something really cool that you never even could have thought of. They're like an advanced part of your higher self. You're like, I'm afraid of that. They're like, all right, we're going to really make you afraid of something. That's what you want. If that's what you're telling us to do, we're going to do it. And you're going to be like super impressed. So yeah, it's like a high version of yourself that's like way cooler than me.
That's really cool.
Yeah. I think you can start seeing DMT like literally on day 1, on day 3, on day 5. Yeah. You just have to know that that's what you're seeing, instead of just like, oh, I'm not seeing anything that's cool, just rainbows. Like, who cares about that? That's literally what I was like, okay, enough with the rainbows. Like, like I want to see something cool. Like, can like an angel appear? That would be really cool. Or like a being that I could just like interact with, like one of my guides or something. But maybe next time. Yeah.
Thanks on that. Dan had to put a question in the chat for you.
Oh, Dan? Okay. So these light particles in fireplace, they seemed natural. You did not realize it was a vision. No. Oh, and the ceiling was always a canopy of trees. Like, oh God, when did that start? I feel like that started like maybe day 3 or 4. I would look up and it would just be a canopy of trees. I would go into the bathroom, canopy of trees. I did not think it was a vision, Dan. I don't know why. I was expecting like Akhenaten to like show up in my room and like talk to me, or like King Tut. But like I think I set the bar a little too high, so that when I saw the fireplace, I was like, I just didn't even think it was like anything. I don't know. I had my bar way too high. So yeah.
All right, let's go to Bruno, and then there's another, Saul put another question in the chat for you. Let's go to Bruno first.
So Jen, you mentioned that you never got scared. So I was wondering if there was some period where you needed to ground yourself, or maybe things were getting too real and you needed to do something to come back to this physical world.
Oh, like when I left on the 11th day?
I don't know, any time that has been close to scary, or maybe just too real?
Yeah, it was the 11th day. It was 11th day. I had gone to my little food box 6 times. And every time I went to the food box, I was like, my charger's going to be in there. And I would have my music back. And I would go next morning, and then I would go at dinner, and it wasn't there. After 6 meals, I had so much anger, like I had been forgotten. It was really, I decided to leave the room. And I moved my chair that was standing in front of the door. I tried moving it. It's one of these like chairs that you have to like put together and do all this stuff. And it started falling apart. I like fell on top of the chair. I got so frustrated. I was just like, please get me out of here. I can't do this anymore. Like there's only so much like staring in a space that I can handle. And I'm on the 11th day. And like I just want to hear my kids' voices, like, or just some music, like just something. And I like fell and like got hurt and just was like, oh my God, get me out of here, please. That was my hardest time. I had another challenge where I was listening to music at the same time as I was brushing my teeth. This is on like day 5 or something. I'm like dancing and I'm like, oh, I should brush my teeth at the same time. Like, let's just kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So I'm brushing my teeth. And then I'm like, all right, I hated going to the bathroom, right? That was like the place that I hated the most. So my whole mouth is full of toothpaste. I'm like, I have to spit really bad. And I had brushed my braces really good. So they're all like toothpaste up. And I'm like, here we go. We're going to the bathroom. But I kept my music in my ears. And that was a big mistake because now I'm not being present. I'm doing 2 things at once and that's bad. So I go into the bathroom and I have this huge mouthful of stuff I have to spit and this little tiny sink that's round. And it's a pedestal sink. So if I spit and I miss the sink, I'm getting it all over my UGG slippers. So I go and I try to get really close to the sink and I spit like that. And as I bend down like that, there's this cup holder right above the sink that I completely forgot about. And I hit my head so hard on this thing. And I'm feeling like, oh my God, I'm probably like bleeding and like it hurts so bad. And I was so discombobulated. And I just needed to rinse my braces out and like my mouth out. And I was going to get the heck out of the bathroom because it smelled in there. And I just like, get me out of here. So I grabbed my braces and I'm so discombobulated that I can't find the water. I can hear the water running, but I can't find it. And I'm taking my braces and I'm going like that. And I'm like, oh my God, where is the water? Like, I hear you. Where the frick are you? I'm rubbing like this. And then I finally find the water and I rinse them off real quick, rinse my mouth out and get out of the bathroom. Well, I can't put my braces down, right? Because then I'm going to lose them. They're going to fall on the floor somewhere. So I immediately put my bottom one in and then I'm like, cool, it tastes like toothpaste. Awesome. Put the upper one in and I'm like, what the heck is that taste in my mouth? And I'm like, oh my God, it's soap. I must have rubbed it on the sink because my soap bar was right on the sink. I must have just rubbed it on there. And I don't want to go back in the bathroom. So all I have is hot tea. And for whatever reason, I was not thinking. And I just start chugging hot tea. And that like melted the soap even more in my mouth. I had so much soap in my mouth, like it was so bad. And I was swallowing it. And then I'm like, oh my God, why am I swallowing the soap? I'm going to like throw up. And then I start spitting on the floor, just like trying to get it. And I'm like, I have to go back in the bathroom again and like walk across the fireplace, like deal with that. And my head's hurting. And so, yeah, like that was another main challenge that I had. Of being in the dark, but that was pretty much it. That and the last night, Bruno, that was like my big challenging moment of hitting my head really hard. Yeah.
Right, thank you. Let's go to Saul's question in the chat. She says, did you see the rainbow with the different colors?
What?
She said, did you see the rainbow with the different colors?
What do you mean different colors?
Saul, you want to?
Yeah. Hello, Jen. How are you?
Hi, Sal.
Like to see you and that
Good
you
to
are
see
okay.
Yeah.
Well, my question is that you were describing that the lights, the little
Yeah.
lights, they form like a rainbow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if the rainbow have the different colors or just white like the little lights.
White like little lights. No, the rainbows were constantly changing. Like it wasn't always like red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, indigo. It was like I would see blue and like green and yellow, you know, over here, and then white, and then blue, green, yellow over here. Like they would go like that, and then they would change and go like that, and like they would twist together. Like it was always changing. But the
Okay.
majority of the time it was red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, indigo. But then like indigo would also be wrapped around the red side and it would go back that way. Like it'd be two rainbows connecting like that.
Okay. Okay. And
Yeah.
did you ask to the lights to form for you something else, or you didn't have? I don't know. I was wondering because you were saying that they were willing to create whatever
Yeah,
whatever
that's
you
smart.
wanted. So you didn't ask them to do something.
I wanted like a being to show up in my room.
Mm.
I think I could have gotten like a little bit more creative at that point. I think I was like kind of down on myself in my recordings, at least. I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna, like, the DMT is just not happening for me, and that's totally okay. And that's my problem. I didn't realize that the DMT had already begun, and that was it. It wasn't gonna be like, you know, I read reviews of somebody prior to me going in, and like she had like all these little beings walking around her and like poking her and like interacting with her, and like all this stuff was going on. And I just thought that that same thing would happen to me. And it was just DMT that was slightly different. It wasn't like actual people in your room, like interacting with you. Mine was just like light particles dancing for me. So it was a little different.
Yeah, I get it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and go with Dan.
Hey, Jen.
Hi, Dan.
I think it's absolutely fascinating that you were able to create this fireplace between your living space and the bathroom. And not only that, but you made it persistent. Like it didn't just sort of happen. I mean, it stayed there. It was there the whole time. And you had to acknowledge it as a real thing. I mean, you had to step over it. And it was a barrier to burn off the smell. I mean, it was offensive to you, right?
That.
And so you were burning off this area of that was a negative influence. And
That's awesome.
I mean, my goodness, I've heard about many trips that people have been on, but I have never heard of anyone have a persistent vision like what you were describing, because it didn't move. It was there. You would come back to it. It was still there. And you took it as a real thing, as like, oh, well, this is nothing to pay attention to. Yeah. People just manifest fireplaces all the time. And it was there for a long time. Jen, that's fantastic. I mean, that is incredible.
Thank you, Dan. Yeah, honestly, like if I go back in the dark and I see something like that, then I'm just gonna like give it a little more love. But it was really intricate and super cool. Like it was like an ancient one that had like a layer of stone and then another layer of stone and another layer of stone. It was like massive and like little tiny fire at the bottom. It wasn't like this blazing fireplace. It was just like at the bottom.
You had to negotiate it. You had to step across it. You had to deal with it every day.
So weird. It was so weird to do that. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It was because like just being in the bathroom was so hard. And I would like try to feel around, like there's all these like shower curtains everywhere. And then when I like got the door and I opened it, and then I had to like put my foot through just one at a time, like, oh, okay, here we go. We're doing this. Fine. Yeah. It was weird. It was
So you
cool,
could
though.
feel the fireplace. Like
No, I couldn't feel it. No, but I'm like putting my foot out there into this like brick thing. I didn't feel the brick, but it's just feels weird to put your hand or your foot and your body through like what looks three-dimensional, like a thing, like an actual fireplace. It just looks weird. It feels weird to do that.
So
But
think
it's not
about it.
real.
It was dark, right? It's dark everywhere except for this fireplace.
No, it was never dark, Dan.
Yeah.
It was like I was praying for darkness. It
Mm.
was constantly like stuff surrounding me, like everywhere. And it wasn't even like stuff is like out here. It was like stuff is like up here.
Mm.
It was like in your face. Like we're right here doing like crazy stuff. At times it would go far away, but then at times it was like literally up to my eyeballs. And I would just try to go like that, like, and it didn't matter. Obviously it didn't matter. But no, it was never dark. It was never black, ever. Not even the first night.
I think that probably had to do with your sensitivity or your spirituality as well. There's a couple questions, in the chat as well for you. Like first from Ahmed about, did you continue to sing everything as a computer generated after you left in the end?
No.
Okay. And how long did it last for?
It only lasted when I was outside looking at things. I went, put it back on, went back into the dark.
It says,
It's
or
only when
did that
you're
only
interacting
happen?
with light.
Sorry, what was that?
It only happened when I was interacting with actual light from outside. Yeah.
But you said it was pretty much like it was never dark though, because you had all those light dancing around you and stuff, just
No,
the
but
whole time.
that's just that's not actual light. Those are light particles.
Right.
Yeah. And then wait, what? What's next time?
He says, or did that only happen when you stepped out in the middle?
That only stepped out when I was outside and there's actual real lights interacting with me. That's when everything looked like the Matrix. And it tripped me out and I had to go back in. Yeah.
Bruno asks, what's next on Jen's spiritual journey?
I don't know, just hanging out with you guys every Monday night and Saturday day for a minute. Yeah. So I'm cool hanging out with you guys. Yeah.
Because this whole thing, it was like a big decision, just because you had originally intended on 40 days doing the dark in the dark type of thing, and that's a big commitment, to be able to go to Guatemala to be able to do this, but I mean, because obviously, something kind of tripped you to make that solid commitment to be able to do that. I mean, what was it that made you decide that, you wanted to go through this? Because I know you mentioned about the dark restaurants, but I think it was something more than that.
No, I had like a lot of stuff that I like had plans of stuff I wanted to do in there and but honestly, there's nothing that you could do in 40 days that you couldn't do in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. It's not like honestly, by day 11, by day 15, when I finally ended up coming out, I'm thinking to myself, all right, I'm here, I'm in the dark, I'm doing this. The minute it gets challenging and really challenging, where I'm having to struggle and push so hard, I'm why am I doing it? I'm doing it for the spiritual purpose, not to prove to myself that I can do X amount of days. That's an ego-driven thing. And yeah, I can totally admit, I think it was my ego that was let's do 40 days. Honestly, I think at some point, maybe that'd be cool if I could do 40 days, but I'm going to be super prepared and I'm not going to do it when I have to smell the toilets. I'm just not, I just can't. On the 15th day, that's why I came out. And I walked straight to the owner and I said, I'm out. And I'm out because I can't be in that room for another minute. It's been 15 days and you haven't cleaned my toilet. and I cannot be in the room anymore. And I was really upset because I wanted to be in there longer. And I feel like that took away part of it. Like, you have one thing to do, is to make sure that I'm taken care of. And you don't wait 4 days to bring me my charger. And then when you bring it to me, it's not even charged. And you clean my toilet when you say you're going to clean it on day 10. That's all you have to do. And then just feed me twice a day. And I'm in the dark. That's it. So if you can't do that, then like, you know, I'm not going to sit here in this room and then smell this stuff for what? Why? It's already challenging. I'm taking freezing cold showers. I went into the bathroom and there was one handle. And I'm like, why is there only one handle? That means there's no hot water. And he's like, yeah, the one at your dark room doesn't have warm water. And I'm like, okay. Like, it was one challenging thing after another. And I'm just like, you know what? I feel like I did good and I'm proud of myself, but like, I don't have to sit here and like smell this anymore. If I want to leave, then just walk out and leave. You're done. You're free. Like, you can leave whenever you want. You don't have to sit and do this. So yeah, I'm proud of myself for doing it. And actually, when I wanted to leave, I was like, no, I'm not ready. I want to go back in. And yeah, like, it's okay that I didn't do the full thing, but you know,
Yep.
at least I did 15 days or 11 days or whatever. Like, yeah, I'm proud of myself. And
I think it's commendable, you know. Let's go with Dan. Dan has a question.
Well, Jen, you know, I just want to point out a few things to you, and it's so early for you. You're still decompressing. So
yeah,
I know you're always tough on yourself, and
yeah,
but I think that you have gained some great things, and the insight that you have about these particles manifesting reality, and
yeah,
that you saw the matrix, and then
yeah.
even though you say, oh, that was the DMT, no, that wasn't the DMT, Jen.
Really?
So the other thing here is that
Crazy.
you manifested a fireplace, a persistent vision,
Yeah,
and it was so real that
yeah,
you didn't think it was a vision.
right, exactly.
Now you're gonna noodle on that for a while, because you now know how to manifest. That was teaching you that. So you have this pliable reality,
Yeah,
and then you have this persistent reality that you can manifest. And if you can
wow, yeah,
convert that from, because you know the difference, it's
yeah,
inside of you, right? And then
yeah,
to make the next step. And that next step is how to manifest it in the 3D world.
right. And it's the same.
Yes, there you go.
That is it. It doesn't,
Yeah.
it's not like harder in the 3D world or anything like that. And in the 3D world, you don't even see your manifestation because it doesn't show up exactly how you want it, slightly different. And it's like a very creative way that you could miss it even in the 3-dimensional world, your manifestations.
So I know that you had expectations and they were high, and
Yeah.
you don't feel like you met them. But what I'm hearing are some very awesome things that you learned. And, you know, if it's just wonderful. I'm getting a lot from hearing from what you said. And I understand that you have this disappointment and there were other things about it that were challenging, but you overcame all of those. And now it's just picking out those little golden nuggets of
Yeah.
those lessons that are learned out of there. And that'll come because you know the answers, because you experienced it. But you just need to, I mean, it's kind of like you were having these full-on visions, but it was nothing to you because that was normal.
That's
right?
normal.
Right. Like nothing's happening to me. No, I'm not having any visions.
Yeah, I was really so sad and depressed about it and then I would talk myself out of it, like, it's fine, who cares? Like,
Yeah, but you were having full-on visions.
Yeah.
You were fully immersed in it.
Yeah, it's just, it wasn't like a person showing up in my room.
Mm-hmm.
So I just had the, like, that's the DMT, like people are going to show up and we're going to have a party together in my room. But maybe that's next time or the time after that. Maybe I had to just go through this first and like, now we can get a little more creative. I'll drop the expectations. I think it's probably best not to have any expectations. Like, don't even watch the dark retreat reviews before you go in, because you're like, whoa, they had such a cool trip, you know? Like, probably best not to do that. So just like erase everything that I said.
Well, it
But,
sounded very successful. And
thanks, Dan.
yeah.
Thanks, guys. Cool.
Let's go with Maria.
Jen.
Hey.
I have to tell you, I felt connected with you days prior to going into the darkness, and we shared conversations on
Yeah.
WhatsApp, and I knew immediately you were taking us with you. I sensed it immediately. And I told my husband, I don't know about the rest of the group, but I know I'm going in there with Jen. And I sensed it really strong the first days prior to getting there. Like, I felt really strong, and I was already starting to see like what it was going to be like. And we have darkness in our room because my husband used to work midnights. And his big thing was, I need dark blackout window treatments, because when he sleeps, if he works midnight, then during the day, it was very important for us to have like a cave-like setting in our room so he could sleep during the day. So that's, you know, been the way that we live. And I kind of, when I heard your story that you were going to go in, I started wondering, wow, I wonder what it's going to be like. And a couple of times this past 2 weeks, I got up in the middle of the night and I said, oh, I wonder if this is what Jen feels like, you know, just being alone, not to see anything in front of her, not to feel the furniture, or, you know, I've never experienced so much darkness where I didn't know I was in my body. Like you said, you forgot about your body. I've never experienced anything like that. But I did
forget about my body, but like, you can't see your hand in front of you.
Right.
You know, you can't see anything. Like, it's like, you're not distracted by your physical body. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I do remember one night, about a week ago, I saw your face in the like in the ceiling of my bedroom. And I said thank you to you, because I remember kind of setting an intention before you went there, that if I was allowed to, you know, visit you, that that my guides would take me there, and or vice versa. So yeah, I was like, oh, Jen, you popped in. You popped in like I asked you to, and you said hi. You were just like, yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah,
and thanks for just
thank you.
Like, come visit me.
I think a part of us were there with you. I don't care what anybody else says. I think we were.
You guys all wanted to go into the dark too. I recruited you all. Group activity.
All right, thank you, Maria.
Yeah.
Like, because I know you mentioned before, you know, that you kind of felt guided to do this. You know, if you could tell a little bit about that.
I felt guided. Yeah, like I felt like there was like somebody like gently pushing me to do this. Like, you have to do this. You have to do this. You have to do this. Like, I felt like it wasn't me that wanted to do it. It was like some higher force. So probably it was like my higher self that was like, let's go. We have a date. Like, don't be late, you know, kind of a thing. I think it was like me, myself, and I, we were like, let's go. And honestly, when I was in the dark, I felt like I was home. Like I'd finally come home. I felt that before going, like I feel, for whatever reason, I feel like I'm like going home. And I know that in some of my past lives, like I've been in the dark a lot. I don't know, like I just felt like I was home. And I feel like maybe some of you guys will feel the same way. Like you literally feel like you're back in the womb and like everything is perfectly okay. And like there's a peacefulness that washes over you when you're in the dark that is like, I mean, my girlfriend went into the dark with me for like 30 minutes into my room. I was like, you want to go see my room? I wasn't supposed to go until 5 o'clock at night. And she was like, sure, let's go see your room. And she was afraid of the dark. Like she was afraid of the dark. I don't know if she still is, but she went in there with me and her heart was like, like freaking out. And she said within like a couple minutes, like she felt her guides were like there with her and were just like slowly like calming her and putting her in this really peaceful state and just like they were like cradling her and she just like relaxed and she like felt her guides present. And she has had a hard time like seeing her guides in the past. And they just like instantly showed up for her. So, and we were in there, I thought it was only 10 minutes, but we got out and it was like, we'd been in there for like 25, 30 minutes. So she had like a cooler experience than I did in the 30 minutes, but she was afraid of the dark. So I feel like even if we go into the dark for a little bit, like you can gain something out of it, even if it's 30 minutes. Yeah.
It almost sounds like you kind of described like an NDE, like a near-death experience. You know how people are through the tunnel, but it's a dark tunnel and a light at the end. It sounds like, you know, you kind of experienced the same kind of thing.
I did or my girlfriend did.
Well, yeah, but you know, because like where you're not afraid of the dark, you know, you felt like it's kind of home. And I know, like in the NDE course, you know, Scott basically talks about how, like, even when you're in the tunnel, pay attention to what's in the tunnel because there's a lot of things that are going on that you don't, or people ignore or not paying attention to.
Oh, whoa, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh my God, my girlfriend, she's sitting here with me. This is so crazy, you guys. She just reminded me. Okay, craziest thing. I was sitting in this little nook and she was sitting on my bed in the dark retreat. This is before I had gone in, okay? So I looked to the right where the bathroom is, and Natalie was looking right where the bathroom is, and there were stairs that went down, and she saw it and I saw it. That is so trippy. She was like, and I'm like, Natalie, look over there. And the room did not look like it was like 10 by 10. It looked like it was freaking endless, like this massive room. And we both looked towards the bathroom and there were these really cool stairs that went down. And I saw like trees, like it looked like a forest with like these steps that went down like that. And it just kept going forever. I didn't have anything as cool as that until the whole time I was in there.
In the same place.
And we saw it in the exact same place.
Yeah, this is like really
For like 30 minutes. We were in there. That was it. And we both had a shared vision of the exact same thing.
yeah.
Like what? I'm like, oh, Natalie, I should do a dark retreat with you.
Do they allow that?
Not so fun. What?
Do they allow that? You know, people to do a dark retreat together in the same room?
Oh yeah, and I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it.
That sounds, you know, because I've heard stories and stuff, you know, how people kind of cross dimensions and stuff, you know, when doing this as well. So I mean, it kind of sounds like that's what you kind of experience.
Yeah,
but
with your like significant other or your like best friend or something like that. Just imagine the visions that you can have together, and they'll get like that much more like amplified and like crazy cool. Like I didn't see those stairs the whole rest of the time I was there, but with her, we were seeing stuff together within minutes of being in there. It's like the two energies coming together, like boom. Way cooler. So I highly recommend that.
Well, it sounds like your guidance kind of, or following the guidance kind of paid off. And so you got what you needed out of that at this time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, does anyone else have any other questions? You know, because Jen has a meditation for us to do if you guys are interested.
That's so late though.
So does anyone else have any questions before we go to the meditation? And if you want to stay for the meditation, you could do that. Nothing? All right, well, I'm going to stop. Did you have anything else you want to share, Jen, or?
Oh, are we doing Secret Fire?
Yeah.
Okay. Secret Fire is like, all right, it's like a 30-minute song and it's ancient. And Hemisync just really outdid themselves on this one. This song starts really slow and gradually builds up, and it is amazing. And it's only 30 minutes. And I feel like it'll be like one that you'll like love to do over and over and over again. Super cool. Yeah. So I'm excited.
Well, I'm going to stop